for some strong thunderstorms here in Virginia as that line moves through. Now, of course, I will continue live coverage tracking this storm over on 13 News Now Plus. And of course, we'll have a complete update on the forecast coming up on 13 News Now at 11. Hey, Meteorologist Evan Stewart here. Thanks for joining us on 13 News Now Plus. We just did a cut-in on air, and you've been watching here on 13 News Now Plus. You saw that as well, that we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that's been posted for parts of the Middle Peninsula, the Northern Neck, and a little bit of the peninsula. So I want to dive into that storm, show you the areas that we're watching right now. It's the same cluster of thunderstorms. If you were watching our stream a little bit earlier, that was around Petersburg. And we said we thought as it moved towards the east, it might clip areas around James City County, and that's certainly what we've seen. It's a pretty impressive line of some thunderstorms there moving through areas of Gloucester County as well. So let's zoom in. Well, before I do that, let's talk about the actual warning. It runs until 9 o'clock, so for another 40 minutes. It includes Williamsburg, but it also includes Charles City County, Gloucester County, James City, King and Queen, Lancaster, Matthews, Middlesex, and New Kent counties. The threats from this, some hail and mainly some gusty winds. As we take a look at the hail signature, haven't seen much with that here. Let's see, not really seeing much with that possible hail signature. Something else that we typically look at, something called the vertical integrated liquid, that also kind of shows us sometimes if there's a lot of moisture that there could be a little bit of a hail core. Maybe a little something there through Gloucester County. It doesn't look too terribly impressive, but the part of the storm that we're watching here moving through James City County, just approaching Williamsburg proper now. Let's give you a little bit of a closer look at on some of those streets in there. And we're talking about right around Casey Boulevard, Skipwith Farms here just north of Williamsburg over towards Forest Heights Road, Oak Tree, Skimino Road, crossing over the York River. So if you're in Williamsburg proper, it'll just clip you by towards the north. As we look a little farther south down towards Grove, that's the area around Busch Gardens, so might get a little bit of rain from that. And then as we cross over the York River here into Gloucester County, around Almondsville, Sign Pine, up towards Pampa, approaching Arc right now, we have that heavy line of thunderstorms, Hornets Nest, and that continues up into areas of Middlesex County, just east of Saluda, Christchurch, now seeing some of that heavy rain over towards Topping. That's going to continue to work its way out towards Stingray Point and Ruark, and then it extends up into Lancaster and Northumberland counties, up into the Middle Peninsula, or the Northern Neck rather, where we have some strong thunderstorms there. And this has been a very active night. If you were watching our stream a little bit earlier, we were tracking numerous tornado warnings up around the nation's capital, and we still have quite a few severe thunderstorm warnings up there as well, up around Hagerstown, Maryland, and then down here south of Baltimore, east of Washington, D.C., out towards Andrews Air Force Base. So things are quieting down across the nation's capital, and we do have some flood warnings there. Across the south side in northeastern North Carolina, we haven't seen too much. I mentioned earlier, and if you were watching earlier, we had a severe thunderstorm watch that was posted for North Carolina, and that has been allowed, that has been canceled now. So we no longer have the severe thunderstorm warning, watch rather, for North Carolina, but we still have a tornado watch for all of our Virginia counties until midnight tonight. Now, they have been chopping back that back edge, so now Richmond is clear of that tornado watch. And I don't think that ours will last until midnight either. You know, we still have another 3.5 hours to go. Update on that severe thunderstorm warning. Not much has changed other than, you know, it still does include James City County, Williamsburg, into Gloucester and Matthews County. Let's see, we'll take a look at some of the velocities there that are being detected. You know, some gusty winds there being detected by radar, some wind gusts over 40 miles per hour. So wouldn't be surprised if we get some reports, maybe some trees down or some kind of damage report coming out of there. This line did have a history here between Richmond and Petersburg. You can see all those reports of trees down a little bit earlier as that line was working eastward, and we'll track that here over the last 3 hours. And as that band moved through here over towards Chester and Chesterfield County, we did have some of those gusty winds produce some damage, and now we're tracking that line here into areas of Matthews and Gloucester County, and a little bit of Williamsburg lightning. Not a lot in this view. 41 lightning strikes. As I move it down and adjust it a little bit, you'll see a few more. Have a little bit of a thunderstorm there approaching Tangier Island up in the middle of the Chesapeake Bay, but this is that warning. It is moving right now to the northeast at around 45 miles per hour. Let's see, that's still the same. So let's put a storm tracker on that to kind of give you an idea of some of the times that this could impact parts of the Middle Peninsula. Again, moving at around 45 miles per hour. So if we draw that out here like this and move it to the northeast. Now I bring it towards Piankatank River Golf Club at around 826, Gloucester 831, Dutton 832, Wareneck 839, Blake's at around 841, Halliford 844 and 854 towards Moon. That's up in Gloucester County. So that's sort of just a general idea. There's an updated radar sweep coming in of the times that we could expect that storm to impact portions mainly of the Middle Peninsula now. There is that little part that is right now moving through Williamsburg over towards Oak Tree and Target Road, crossing over the York River up there into Gloucester County. So there is some very heavy rain there, not a lot of lightning. And on the southern end of that line, not under a warning, but a pretty impressive thunderstorm, as, or certainly some heavy rain, not a lot of lightning with it here, moving through Surrey County. So from right around the Virginia Diner and the Weather Service office there in Wakefield, where the radar is located, up through Surrey County, has some heavy rain and starts to taper off back here through Sussex County. So we do have that severe thunderstorm warning that we're watching right now. The biggest threat would be some gusty winds. The Weather Service is saying about 60-mile-per-hour winds are possible with that thunderstorm. And let's see, the severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled for King and Queen, Surrey, New Kent, and Charles City. But we still have this one severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect until 9 o'clock tonight. Hail size, not as big of an issue now, down to less than 3/4 of an inch. So that wouldn't be considered severe hail. You have to get hail at around an inch in diameter to have really get some significant damage. And then as we get into, the maximum sustained wind 60, that is some wind gusts that could be damaging. So we all, have been under this risk for severe weather. We had a weather impact alert day posted for the last couple of days for today, because we are under this level 2 risk for severe weather, calling for scattered thunderstorms that could be severe. I think the threat is really starting to come to an end across North Carolina. We've dropped that severe thunderstorm watch. We still have the tornado watch across Virginia. And here's part of the reason. National Weather Service is painting about a 5% chance that we could see a tornado within 25 miles of any one spot. And we certainly saw that earlier this evening up in Northern Virginia. And it was looking like a lot of those storms in Northern Virginia were robbing the atmosphere of the energy from these thunderstorms as they were moving here through parts of Southern Virginia. Certainly didn't see much across North Carolina. And we still have some thunderstorms down through the Pamlico Sound, getting down towards Beaufort, Jacksonville, and then down towards Wilmington. And then as we move off towards South Carolina, moving off the coast there of Myrtle Beach, quite a bit of activity. But this is all with a cold front that is approaching from the west, right now located here through central Virginia. So this cold front is sort of spurring all of these thunderstorms. Of course, we had temperatures up into the 70s today, a lot of humidity, high dew points, and that was creating the situation, sort of priming the pump, so to speak, for some of these thunderstorms to develop. And we really saw it off towards the north. We were mentioning it earlier, where this area of low pressure is. Remember, low pressure rotates counterclockwise, just like that. So that sort of sets the stage when you have that spinning motion in the upper parts of the atmosphere, that can translate down towards the ground. And that's why I think around Washington, D.C., we certainly saw, at one point there were about 7 tornado warnings all surrounding the nation's capital. Tim and I were monitoring our sister station, WUSA, up in D.C., and the meteorologists there were tracking those storms as they moved through. And, there were some very well-defined signatures with those storms of some, rotation with those storms. So getting again up into areas around Williamsburg, you're still under that severe thunderstorm warning. Gloucester County as well. It's slowly moving towards the east. I'll just show you the last hour or so and sort of slow it down a little bit so you can see how things have been moving over the last hour. Ever so slowly here, working off towards the east, and maybe some signs that it might be trying to weaken a tad. Looked like there were some brighter reds in there just about 15, 20 minutes ago when the warning was issued. Still some very heavy rain coming down with the storm right now. Take a look at some of the rainfall rates. Of course, it's not sitting there for an hour, so you're not going to pick up an inch of rain, but certainly the potential is, there for a quick ½ inch of rain as this storm moves through. Williamsburg still under that warning down across the James River into Surrey County. Again, this part of the storm is not under a warning, but it is through the James River. So approaching Busch Gardens, approaching Fort Eustis over towards Newport News. So we will see that possibility here. We'll put a track on that just to give you an idea of sort of when that southern part of the line, again, it's not severe, but tracking it off towards the northeast, so that would bring it around Busch Gardens at around 8:33, so just in a couple of minutes. Comico, 8:43, Gloucester Point around 8:47, then as we move up through the Middle Peninsula, Achilles, 8:50, and Severn at around 8:52. That's with that southern part of the line that, again, is not severe. And this is sort of that leading edge where we would expect to see, some of those strongest wind gusts. And let's see, 29, 30, 31, as we get a little bit higher into the atmosphere, we're seeing wind gusts up approaching 40 miles per hour. So no storm reports out of here yet. And sometimes we will get some reports. Let's switch over here. Let's see. Sometimes we will get some storm reports coming in with some of the wind gust reports from some of the buoys out there. So we're not seeing any of those with this storm. And again, not a lot of lightning. 30 strikes here over the past half hour. So not too terribly strong as far as the vivid lightning. Again, if you're tuning into our stream here, we're checking out things on the peninsula where we have a severe thunderstorm warning for the Middle Peninsula and parts of James City County and Williamsburg, although really it's just about to move out of that warning area. I imagine here in the next few minutes, the Weather Service will probably chop off maybe that back edge of it as it is now starting to move out of the warning area. But it will certainly be extended or continued here through the Middle Peninsula, through Gloucester, and certainly over into Matthews County, where it's now just getting ready to approach Dutton and move through the county line. I'll back that out just a little bit. There's the county line right through there. So Gloucester County and Matthews County. We'll zoom in a little bit more around Hornets Nest, Indian Road, Gloucester, around the courthouse. Let's check again, see if we have any hail signature, and we're not seeing any hail signatures out of it. And really no wind shear either. Any kind of hail history with it? Not so much. So that's certainly some good news. So we're not looking at that threat of some hail. Main threats, again, will likely be some gusty winds with this line moving through. And it'll eventually move into the Chesapeake Bay. We'll have a special marine warning posted for the bay. We'll have to watch what happens as it crosses over the bay, heads over towards the eastern shore. Will we see a warning issued for Middlesex, for Accomack and Northampton counties up along the eastern shore. We'll have to keep an eye on that, storm. She had a pretty good storm move through a little bit earlier. You can see some of that leftover lightning there just east of Wachapreague. Some pretty big thunderstorms there out over the Atlantic south of Chincoteague and up towards Tangier Island we were talking about earlier. Tabitha, as we move up towards the northern neck, historic southern Maryland, over towards Christchurch. Looking at some signs, maybe it's trying to weaken a little bit on that northern edge as we get here through Gloucester County, right around the courthouse down towards White Marsh. So Gloucester Point, Yorktown, right in here, the Coleman Bridge, right there. So it's going to be approaching that area here in about the next few minutes. So we'll see that scan come through. Again, we mentioned around Grove and Busch Gardens now seeing that heavy rain. Not a lot of lightning, fortunately. That's good news for the folks out there. That means that they should be able to get the coasters up and running pretty quickly since they don't have any lightning too terribly close. I do have some strikes up there around White Marsh. And then a little concern, right in here, we're starting to see some of those darker reds. Wouldn't totally be surprised if there's a little bit of hail there. We're not seeing too many signs. This is, again, something called the vertical integrated liquid, the VIL, and this sometimes gives us an idea if we see any kind of hail where we start to see some of these darker colors in here. So that's certainly a possibility that there could be a little bit with that, but we're not seeing much there as far as a hail signature, but certainly some heavy rain coming down across the Middle Peninsula and then down through the peninsula. Again, not a warning here in Surrey County along the James River and just south of Williamsburg there. As expected, the National Weather Service did chop off a lot of that through James City County for the warning. Still includes areas of Matthews County and Gloucester County. So we have seen, part of that warning chopped off. Still a itty little bit right in there of James City County around Portobello. But City of Williamsburg is now out of that warning. You can see that here with the latest now. So Gloucester, Lancaster, Matthews, Middlesex, Northumberland, and York. So technically, there is a little bit there of James City County showing up, or a little bit of York County as well. It's pretty close to the county line right in there. So that's the one storm that we're watching. Thanks for joining us here on 13 News Now Plus. This is one of the things we can do now, by streaming online. We're not interrupting the programming all that much. So that's certainly some good news. And Milla, if you can tell me, do we have a opportunity for a cut in on air coming up here pretty soon? I'll let you check the break times, and maybe we can dip in during Shark Tank and give folks a little bit of an update on what's going on across the Middle Peninsula. So we have one in about 5 minutes, so we'll continue to stream here, and then as we get close to that, we'll dip into one of the commercial breaks over on Channel 13 and give a quick update on air, because we do have that updated severe thunderstorm warning. Again, not a lot of other rain in the area. South side, we haven't seen anything as we have gone through the day today. We saw some down through North Carolina. Let's take a look at where the rain has pretty much been. Let's give you the 12-hour rainfall, because we did have some of that rain this morning. That exited, around 8, 9 o'clock this morning. So we had a couple of very small isolated showers that popped up earlier, one out towards Virginia Beach. But again, this is the last 12 hours. See, nothing along the eastern shore other than a couple of those isolated showers across North Carolina, not much. Did have some heavier rain down through the Albemarle Sound region and south of there. And then most of the rain, has really been off towards our north and west as we have gone here through the afternoon and now transitioning into the evening time. The other good thing is now that the sun has set, we are seeing that lesser of a risk for some of these severe thunderstorms. Once this line clears the Chesapeake Bay, I imagine that severe thunderstorm watch will be dropped for a lot of our northern areas. It'll probably be held on a little bit long, or the tornado watch, that we have in Virginia. It'll probably be kept here for the south side and the peninsula, and really until sort of this line works its way eastward. And that is going to be a while. We have these storms that are moving at around 45 miles per hour. So let's put that on there. So let's just kind of give you an idea. If these storms are moving at around, 45 miles per hour, that's still going to take it, until 10 o'clock to really clear the coastline. The watch is until midnight tonight. So I imagine, here pretty soon we'll see some of these other counties start to be chopped off on the back edge of this line. So recapping here, we'll be cutting in a few minutes here on channel 13. So sort of recapping, we have a line of thunderstorms that are moving through, producing a severe thunderstorm warning, mainly for the Middle Peninsula. It includes just a little bit of York County, maybe a corner of James City County. But it's mainly through Gloucester, Matthews, and Middlesex counties, and then up into Lancaster and Northumberland up along the Middle Peninsula. So that is going to move off into the Chesapeake Bay. If it holds together as it crosses over the bay, we will see a warning there up for the eastern shore. Not expecting too much here across the south side. We'll have to see what happens on the southern end of that line. But for the most part, we're really not seeing much else with this line. Still under that weather impact alert through the evening because of the threat for some of those strong thunderstorms, but things are certainly improving across the area right now. I'm just going to start to get things a little bit set up for our cut-in to show people on air where some of the strongest of the thunderstorms are. So bear with me while we set all that up so we can have all that information on air. We're about a minute away from the cut-in, so we'll get everything sort of set up for that. All right, so we're coming up here. We'll be on the air in about 30 seconds or so. So thanks for continuing to watch us on the stream. We'll, of course, be streaming this cut-in. And then once the cut-in is over, how long is it, Jamila? So it's about a 2.5 minute cut-in. So we'll come back to streaming after that. Well, good evening. Meteorologist Evan Stewart here. Wanted to give you an update on the severe thunderstorm warning that we have moving through mainly the Middle Peninsula now. We've been streaming over on 13 News Now Plus. Once this cut-in is over and we return you to the Shark Tank, if you want to follow along, check us out on 13 News Now Plus. We'll continue to stream with this severe thunderstorm warning that is mainly through Gloucester and Matthews County and up into Lancaster and Northumberland. You can see that line of thunderstorms working its way eastward. This warning runs until 9 o'clock. It includes Charles City County, Gloucester. James City County is now out of that warning. Let me give you that updated warning here. Let's see, there we go. There's the updated warning. Gloucester, Lancaster, Matthews, Middlesex, Northumberland. Just a very, very little bit there of York County again until 9 o'clock. Most of the rain that we have now across the peninsula stretches from just around Yorktown and the Naval Weapons Depot there and extending down towards the James River over towards Chip Oaks. Not part of the severe line of the storm. That is up here through Gloucester County, moving into Matthews County, Middlesex County, approaching Stingray Point, moving at around 45 miles per hour. So can update those storm tracks there for you. Show you that it'll be towards Ruark here just in the next minute or so. Stingray Point, 846 Williams, 851 Beaverlet at around 853 Diggs at around 855. So mainly here through Gloucester and Matthews County, and it extends up into areas of the northern neck. So that's that main line that we have moving through. We'll have to watch it as it moves into the Chesapeake Bay. If it holds together crossing the bay, we may have a warning issued for Northampton and Accomack County up along the eastern shore. And we'll watch that southern end of the storm, but things have been very quiet across Virginia. We still have a tornado watch in effect until midnight tonight. I don't think it'll last until midnight. It'll probably be canceled a little bit early. We've already seen that back edge chopped off. And we had a thunderstorm watch until 11 o'clock for North Carolina, but that was allowed, or that was actually canceled a little bit early because the severe weather threat has ended pretty much across North Carolina. It might linger a little bit through Dare County, but we have that severe thunderstorm warning for Matthews, Gloucester, and Middlesex County until 9 o'clock. Of course, join us over on 13 News Now Plus. I'll continue to track this storm as long as there is a severe weather threat. All right, thank you for joining us again here on 13 News Now Plus. We have that new updated warning that is just coming in from the National Weather Service. You can see it there flashing. So we have taken York County out of that warning now. So that is now for Gloucester, Lancaster, Matthews, Middlesex, and Northumberland. So it includes just the Middle Peninsula and the northern neck now. And it's a fairly narrow line of thunderstorms moving through. I can give you a closer look at some of the areas that are seeing some of the heaviest of the rain right now, from White Marsh up towards Schley, Elmington, and now approaching Cardinal over in Matthews County. And as we move a little bit over towards the north, there's Gwynn Island and Gwynns. This right here is Middlesex County, working way out towards Ruark, and Stingray Point up there around Hardyville. And there's Stingray Point in there. So some very heavy rain moving through the Middle Peninsula. The main threat for this line has been gusty winds. When we were tracking again a little bit earlier, some of those winds here, let's see. Now we're still seeing some wind gusts, approaching 40, 45 miles per hour. There's a 47 mile per hour gust. So we could see some gusty winds with this line moving through. Haven't seen any storm reports coming in, so that's certainly some good news. And this has been a very active night, especially in northern areas. Just outside of our viewing area. If you were watching myself and Tim a little bit earlier, we were tracking numerous tornado warnings up around the DC area, and we have a tornado warning there just off toward, approaching the Potomac River there around Lexington Park, Chesapeake Ranch Estates. Let's take a look. See, yeah, there might be a little bit of, something right in there. So that's why we have that tornado warning. It's sort of on the edge of this radar out of Dover, but it includes Calvert and St. Mary's counties there in Maryland. So it has been a very active evening off towards our north. And I think that that's really robbed a lot of the energy from some of these southern storms. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, we had a severe thunderstorm watch that was down through North Carolina, and it looks like it might have even been dropped now for, let's see, if it was even dropped for Dare County. Yeah, it looks like it has been dropped for Dare County as well. So just the only, area left is, down here in Carteret County, North Carolina. It does not include Dare County. So that's certainly some good news, some signs that things are weakening there. Still have the tornado watch here through all of our Virginia counties. I imagine, based on where the radar is sitting right now, let's see. So there's that edge of the watch. As we go over towards radar, you'll be able to see that the strongest part of the storms are east of there now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see even the tornado watch start to be chopped off on that western edge as that severe weather threat becomes greatly reduced. But we do have that one very skinny, narrow warning for Matthews, Gloucester, Middlesex, Lancaster, and Northumberland moving through the northern neck. And while not severe, we are seeing some heavy rain approaching Yorktown and Gloucester Point here. So from White Marsh to Wacomico, Gloucester Point, that is the Coleman Bridge there. And of course, Yorktown's right in there, all the colonial buildings and stuff. And over towards Lehigh, rain finally exiting the Busch Gardens area. And it does extend across the James River here a little bit over into Surrey County. So that's just approaching Fort Eustis right in here. So Red Hill Village, getting over towards Menchville up around the Newport News Park. We are looking at some of that heavy rain that'll be moving in. Not a lot of lightning. As a matter of fact, you can see on our lightning counter there, just one lightning strike over the last hour. So that's with that southern part of the storm. And again, we're not seeing those strong winds with it. That's why we don't have the warning there. And we still have the warning, again, through Gloucester and Matthews County and Middlesex County until 8:48, so about another 12 minutes. And eventually, this is going to move off into the Chesapeake Bay. If it holds together, we might see a warning issued here for Northampton or Accomack County up along the eastern shore. So we'll watch that as we go here a little bit later on through the evening. But the loop here over the last hour or so kind of shows you the movement of this storm. Again, it's not moving terribly fast, 40, 45 miles per hour. We've seen storms move certainly a lot faster than that, 60, 65 miles per hour. But that is moving at 45, so it's really going to clear much of Gloucester County here, probably in the next couple of radar sweeps as we get in here a little bit closer. It'll still get this little southern tip here near Mobjack Bay, so we still have a little ways to go for that. Rest of the area, again, it has been a quiet night. We saw a couple of pop-up showers a little bit earlier through parts of the south side of northeastern North Carolina. And there's still some lingering showers back here over Sussex County and here through Isle of Wight County. But again, not much out there for the south side, and I don't think we'll see too terribly much. Again, we have that cold front that's moving through. I imagine, let's see, let's put our wind particles on here and get the latest. See if we can sort of see where that front is. Kind of right in here. We can see these winds coming out of the west and then the southwest. Then we have westerly winds. So sort of in there, we have a little bit of that front pushing through. So, we can expand this and you'll be able to, see on a much wider view, sort of how we have that area of low pressure spinning around there. You can see how everything is sort of rotating around into it. That's where that low pressure is, so that cold front pretty much right in here where we start to see that wind shift. You could almost say it was, kind of in here. That's just probably a little bit of a prefrontal trough there, but that's just sort of the radar's estimate of where everything is. So we'll zoom back in there. And again, we were watching that one, just towards our north here, moving up into, in southern Maryland, up around Valley Lee, Lexington Park, we do have that one tornado warning up there through southern Maryland. So a little bit outside of our viewing area, but it has been a very active night up around Washington, D.C. and getting back down to our severe thunderstorm warning in effect for about another 9 minutes. Let's see, tornado watch, it's still for parts of the area until midnight tonight. Let's get back to that. Yeah, so we still have the tornado watch. Oh, you can see that we have lost. I was saying that I was expecting them to chop off that back edge, and we have. Remember earlier it was back towards Richmond. So now we have seen, Sussex County, New Kent County, Charles City County, King William, King and Queen County taken out of that tornado watch. So I imagine we'll continue to see that tornado watch continue to be slowly chopped away as this line of thunderstorms moves into the Chesapeake Bay and off towards the east. Really, probably here in another 15, 20 minutes, say we're good to go up through the Middle Peninsula and the Northern Neck because that last thunderstorm will be working its way into the Chesapeake Bay. So we probably will be canceling that tornado watch for our northern areas here, probably by 9:15. It takes a little while to get that warning fully canceled. So again, we'll be watching that. It'll stay up longer for the eastern shore as long as there's that threat with this thunderstorm crossing the Chesapeake Bay. So let's get in, talk about some of the areas again. Here through Gloucester County, southern tip of Gloucester County, you're technically not even under that warning. They're from Gloucester Point over towards Marius. And we do have some heavy rain there around Achilles, Warner Hall Road, Glass Road, over across into Mobjack Bay, Matthews County. Now really coming down around Grimstead, Gwynn Island, Hudgens, now approaching Moon and Beaverlet. So we have 7 more minutes on this warning. It'll be moving into the Chesapeake Bay here pretty soon. Got a couple other, heavier downpours here through the Middle Peninsula, and nothing, or through the middle of the peninsula, nothing severe there. Approaching Fort Eustis, up around Newport News City Park, Lee Hall, Cliveden over towards the airport, which is right in here. So again, we're not seeing the reds. We've got the yellows and the oranges. So nothing severe with that part of the storm. Notice how we get sort of those deeper reds as we move up here through the Middle Peninsula, and especially in the Matthews County, a much, much deeper red, indicating the heavier rain and the potential for those gustier winds. Still there. You know, winds estimated by radar, 43, 45, 47 miles per hour. Haven't seen any storm reports, anything like that coming out of the area for any kind of wind gusts or anything too terrible. Have seen a lot of trees down off towards our north and west. And as we head up towards DC, we were talking earlier about some of that severe weather that was up there. You can see there just around Glenmont. Video shows funnel cloud over Wheaton north of Holy Cross Hospital. So we did have several tornado warnings up there, and now we have some video of at least a funnel cloud. And reports of flooding, looks like probably along Interstate 95 there between DC and Baltimore. So there's been a lot of severe weather off towards our north, and that robbed a lot of the energy from the thunderstorms that have been moving here through Hampton Roads. You can see within the last hour in this whole view, 102 lightning strikes. If you were watching us a couple weeks ago when Tim and I were streaming, we were talking about, you know, in the 1,500, you know, in this sort of view, getting close to 2,000 strikes. So not a very active electrical storm moving through. But for another 5 minutes, we have that severe thunderstorm warning for really can take most of you know, we can take Gloucester County, at least the part of Gloucester County that was under the warning. You can see here no longer under that severe threat, mainly through Matthews County now. Middlesex County, pretty much it's worked east of there as well, east of Stingray Point. So we can pretty much say Middlesex County's out of the woods, Lancaster, Northumberland, now moving off into the Chesapeake Bay, so you're pretty much out of the woods. The National Weather Service will likely keep that warning up until 9 o'clock for Gloucester County. Yeah, let's see. So yeah, it's going to be continued through Gloucester, or through Matthews County rather, until the expiration here in another 4 minutes. So we do have here. There's that updated sweep, and again, just a little bit there of Middlesex County rather. Or Matthews County, excuse me, Gwynn Island still seeing the heaviest of the rain over towards Fitchett's and Moon here in Matthews County, Point Breeze Road. Certainly some very heavy rain there coming down. Now moving into Mob Jack Bay, and it's getting a little bit lighter as we move here into southern Gloucester County and certainly down through the Peninsula. Lee Hall over towards Fort Eustis, Red Hill Village. Just some more moderate rain. Haven't seen much, again, across the south side. Got a couple little showers popping up through Chesapeake and mainly Virginia Beach. A couple more showers through Isle of Wight, Surrey, Southampton, nothing severe. And again, that severe weather threat has pretty much come to an end down across areas of northeastern North Carolina. So it's just that one warning that is in effect for another 2.5 minutes or so. So we'll stay on here on the stream, see what happens, see if that warning is allowed to expire, and I imagine it will be because there's no more land out there until you get over towards the eastern shore, and the Weather Service would wait a little bit for that warning to see what happens as the storm moves through the Chesapeake Bay before they issue a warning there. So we might be joining you back on the stream here in another 15 minutes if we get that warning up along the eastern shore, but otherwise things are looking pretty quiet. South side, haven't seen much development on the southern edge of that, or the southern line, or the southern part of that storm. Maybe a little bit of pink trying to show up in there. I doubt we'll see much. Yeah, I'm not looking at a hail signature or anything like that. You know, there is quite a bit of liquid with it, so there could be a little bit of maybe some small hail. Haven't gotten any reports of that. Wouldn't be surprised to get a report of some pea-sized hail maybe up through Matthews County over towards Gwynn Island. And then we'll watch that storm as it approaches the eastern shore. You can see up here as we move up into southern Maryland, we still have that one tornado warning, and around Crisfield, it's where one of the boats for Tangier Island leaves from, up there in southern Maryland, getting a pretty big thunderstorm. But if we have any streamers watching from the eastern shore, Accomack and Northampton County, just be aware that we do have that thunderstorm crossing the Chesapeake Bay. Before we get off the stream here, let's just go ahead and move that northeast at 45, give you some times as it crosses over, you know, over towards Tangier at around 9:14, Craddockville as we move over towards the eastern shore at around 9:26, Accomack County Courthouse, 9:33, Parksley, 9:40, Signpost, 9:55, and just around 10 o'clock, get over towards Chincoteague Island. So that's if it holds together. I imagine it probably will. As it crosses the Chesapeake Bay, it doesn't look like it's probably close to that severe criteria. We'll see if there's a warning issued for the eastern shore, but I'd say right now it's probably odds are 50-50 that we would see that warning issued for the eastern shore. Just see what happens as it crosses over into the Chesapeake Bay. So we've got about another 20 seconds or so on that severe thunderstorm warning. Again, the severe thunderstorm watch has been canceled across North Carolina. We still have the tornado watch. So the National Weather Service is going to allow the warning to expire here in 3, 2, 1. There we go. So thanks for joining us here on 13 News Now Plus. I'll continue to watch this storm as it crosses over the Chesapeake Bay. If we do have a warning up for the eastern shore, probably won't do an extended stream here, but we will certainly let you know what's going on up along the eastern shore. But otherwise, I expect things to really quiet down over the next couple of hours, and that should lead to a quiet night tonight. So again, thanks for joining us here on 13 News Now Plus. If we don't join you again here before the 11 o'clock news, join us back here for 13 News Now at 11. Myself, Dana Smith, and Brian Smith will all be here.